I'm someone who really wants to look at the bottom of funnel conversion event that I'm trying to drive. I think that click-through rate is a fantastic metric to look at, but when I'm looking at two different emails, let's say an A/B test where I'm launching a new product feature, and one email has so much information in it explaining the value and what this feature can provide to you, and the other is more ominous, where you might want to click through to learn more. I'm more interested in that bottom of funnel conversion event for feature activation, or if someone has purchased, because then I can say, oh, the email that gave a lot of information converted higher, or the email that kind of teased someone onto a landing page converted higher. So for me, the metric of my success for email is it always has to be kind of that bottom of funnel conversion event. But if I'm looking at the success of one email without an A/B test, I'll look at click-through rate. I will look at unsubscribe rate very lightly to see how my audience is engaging or finding email content. Probably those two are my main email metrics that I'll focus on.
Your KPI of ultimate truth tends to be customer lifetime value. Is that number increasing? Is it decreasing? Is it not moving around at all? And loyalty, like how can you measure loyalty? Like it's very obvious how to do that for brands that have loyalty programs, but that's another really important metric. Like how can you define that? How can you quantify it? I think a mistake that a lot of marketers make is they don't understand the objective of the campaign they're implementing. They're thinking at too high a level and, like, oh, well, we want them to buy stuff. And that's not a KPI, right? It's like, okay, what is the specific action you are looking for in very literal terms? What do you literally want someone to do after they receive this email? And that's a conversion point. And then whatever part of the customer journey that correlates to, that's going to move them to the next step in the customer journey. That's another important conversion point you need to be tracking. So there can be these little mini sub conversions that are leading to the big important conversions. And then, ultimately those bottom of funnel metrics, right? Are we making money? Are we generating revenue? Are we turning a profit here? And marketers really can sometimes struggle with connecting the dots on those things. They just don't have the resources to figure that out. In some cases, you've got people who own the data who are just they're not collaborating with you. What do you do then? But one metric that a lot of folks have kind of turned their attention to is an important one, not like the most important one, but the biggest indicator of engagement today, now that our open rates are a lot more fuzzy than they used to be, is reply rate. So that is something that anyone can start encouraging email replies, tracking email replies, and that's a great indicator of, is this resonating, and are you driving people to want to engage with you in this two-way channel? And not seeing a lot of marketers adopt that just yet.
I am listening to the two of you with envy. Where the B2B marketer could track back to lifetime value or conversions into new business. What a miracle it would be. I mean, for us, what's interesting about email is it's often the conversion channel. So what you look at it as doing in contribution to your demand generation strategy is it's typically the channel where someone you actually generated elsewhere tends to convert. And so like if you tie, your UTMs within a singular campaign to email, typically it's the one that is driving the new business revenue, which is great. But the tricky part is it's not usually attributable back to any specific email. It's usually attributable back to a nurture strategy. And then if you go back even one more step, it's usually someone who converted on a white paper or a search ad or something else down funnel. And then email was the ultimate point at which they converted, which is great because it means that, email looks like it's doing a lot of wonderful things for attribution, which it is. But I think that goes back to consumer behavior, right? Like it's the spot where, like I mentioned earlier, it's the same in B2B. Like it's the spot where like you're trying to stay top of mind with brands that you like and have affinity for, and that you might like want to do business with in the future, even if you're not ready right now. So what that means for B2B is that you have to have a consistent long-term, and by long-term, I mean like how long is your sales cycle? Because it's probably going to be 18 months to 5 years, in which you are sending out really relevant, really useful information without trying to be pushing a sale at every single email, so that when people are ready, you're top of mind, you're relevant, you're trustworthy, and you're useful, and they'll come to you when they want to buy, which is perfect. I mean, the only other thing that I might add to that is like, you just have to be careful that you're not over emailing, or that you're not over activating on email. Because one of the things that I think has happened a lot in the last 5 years in email, Jen mentioned email open rates, definitely inconsistent for B2B. They were already so with Outlook. Now they're even more so with Apple, the email privacy protection. But the other thing that's ramping up in my B2B email channels, shout out to my Email Geeks B2B Badgers, is email security bots. So if you're in B2B, one thing that you might not even know is happening is that a lot of companies, education is big for this, a lot of B2B companies are big for this, tech is big for this, have implemented security software that pre-clicks every single email link in an email when you send it to a person. So if I send Jen an email and she has the security installed, it's going to go check every single link in the email I sent her, and it's going to appear to me that Jen clicked all the links in my email. Now, I know a lot of marketing automation platforms say that they filter for this. They do, and they probably do better than nothing, but they're definitely not catching it all. And what it means is like, we're in a landscape now for B2B where if you're currently running automations off of email opens or email clicks, you ought to start rethinking that strategy. And probably like yesterday, because it's just not a reliable way for you to run email anymore. You've really got to be thinking about overall value and providing easy points of conversion when the person is ready to convert.